Alright, so I watch all the CW superhero shows, right? And yeah, that's a lot of superhero television for one person to watch, but whatever, I like it. Each show has had their problems from time to time, but they're usually able to work through them and improve afterward. Except for one issue, which I'm going to call the Arrow and Flash always select the wrong love interest for their lead character problem. Yes, that's the most concise and effective way to say that. Spoilers going forward. Alright, so I'm a little bit behind on the Black Lightning show, and so far the love interest in that seemed just fine. So moving on to that, Supergirl doesn't really have this problem either. The main romance is pretty solid. I was actually rooting for things to work out. There are complications that show up in the most recent season that actually make sense for the characters and the plot. Moving on, Legends of Tomorrow from Season 2 onward manages to do romance pretty well also. Being an ensemble show, they really don't have as much time to devote to this stuff, so they touch on it when it makes sense for the characters and the storyline. Now on to the problem children. Now, before kicking off, some of the side romances in these shows are actually pretty good, Roy and Thea being the greatest example of that. Moving on, time to complain. So the love interests for The Flash and Arrow, Barry and Oliver, being Iris and Felicity, are by far the two worst, most overused, and most misused characters in this entire multi-show universe. And I'll say up front that I have absolutely nothing against Candace Patton and Emily Bett Rickards. They're both fine actresses doing whatever they can with the material they're given. I'm sure they're both very nice people too, and I'm sorry they aren't given better things to do that would make their characters more likable. Let's talk about Felicity. In the first season, she was basically Lucius Fox from the Dark Knight trilogy, just less Morgan Freeman-y. And then later on, she became a member of the team and worked as sometimes cringeworthy but still endearing comedic relief. Then Season 3 happened, and Felicity won Crybaby of the Year award. In the first two seasons, she was always a bit flirty with Oliver because, hey, look, abs. But they never really seemed to be heading past that in any real direction. And then shippers happened. For those of you who don't know, shippers are fans of a show or movie or anything who actively root for two characters to get together, and they'll go on forums and write about it and just make fan fiction, all this sort of stuff. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. I'm actually going to do a little bit in this video. But screenwriters need to know when to listen and when not to. Oliver Felicity shippers, or Olicity fans, are not a group who should have been listened to. Here are some of the reasons why. There were better love interests introduced at earlier points of the show for both Oliver and Felicity. Laurel was built in from the beginning to be the primary love interest for Oliver. By the time the second season ended, however, a romance between these two seemed pretty unlikely. But no fear, because they introduced the best love interest he's had in the whole show, in the form of one of the best characters in the entire universe in Season 2, Sarah. Okay, here's why Oliver and Sarah work so well together, right? They went through some of the same hellish experiences as each other and also had their own unique adventures that transformed them both from pretty shallow and shitty people into damaged vigilante types. You see, the show's story starts out with Oliver's yacht sinking while he is sleeping with Sarah, who is the sister to his then-girlfriend Laurel. Sound soap opera-y enough yet? It's a pretty garbage thing to do, though, right? So the two of them, they went from being pretty bad people, and then they grew into something else in similar ways, and they can relate to each other pretty strongly. Season 3 also introduced a great love interest for Felicity, Ray. He's a lot like her, except a bit more fun and a dude. You see, people who are similar naturally gravitate towards each other and form stronger relationships. The whole opposites attract idea is true for like the first month or something, and then the people who are in those relationships start hating and resenting each other for the things that they initially found attractive. You can trust me, I'm minored in psychology, and so I'm smart, and okay. Building up the romance angle with Felicity could have worked on one condition: if she had died here in Season 4. But she didn't, so it doesn't. And I hate this character at this point, and my hatred for Felicity really reached its final form in this scene from the Season 4 crossover event with The Flash.
It's kind of weird. He didn't know what he was giving me, but I've run enough tests on your blood to recognize your DNA sequence anywhere. You had to run a paternity test, didn't you?
Look, Felicity.
Stop. I cannot hear another lie.
It's more complicated than that.
God, Oliver, you're the only person on this planet who considers the truth complicated. Just to be clear, I don't care that you have a child. I can't believe that you have a child that you didn't tell me about. I care that you lied to me just now.
You know that my whole world just exploded? And I think that I'm entitled to a minute to process that by myself.
You somehow managed to go to CCPD and track down Barry. You didn't keep it to yourself. You kept it from me. When were you planning on telling me?
I don't know.
If you loved me, if you trusted me, telling me this wouldn't be such a burden. It would be a relief.
You know, where she gets mad at Oliver for not sharing that he had a son? Like, hold up. One, he just found out. And two, you don't know this yet, but if you had the patience of anything, you would hear that, you know, he couldn't tell anybody, otherwise he'd never get to see his son. Plus, Felicity, you are already established to be a serial liar. You guys want evidence, you say? Here.
All right, here's a list of all their heists and attacks.
That was fast.
Yeah? Yeah, like, riding a bike.
First about that, he was the Larson Credit Union?
No, it was Sterling National.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you know that?
Same way you knew about Larson.
Felicity.
Mm.
Want to play again?
What game are we playing?
Playing the reason that you know so much about ghosts is because you've been helping the team behind my back game. I'm just going over the past 5 months in my head. When you got food poisoning when we were in Thailand?
Yes, I might have been secretly working with the team, but I didn't exactly lie about the food poisoning. A lamu is extremely hard to digest.
What about when you missed our boat, in Positano?
Okay, that one was a little fib.
Bali? No, Felicity, you said there wasn't even email in Bali.
I know, but we both know I'm just that good.
Guilty. All right, I've railed on Felicity long enough. Let's talk about Iris, Where the Flash, West. And yeah, I know Barry Allen and Iris West are always a couple in the comic books, but as I've said before in previous videos, I don't care what the comics do, as the show is not the comic books, it is its own thing. And apparently, the writers don't really care either of these shows, because Black Canary and Green Arrow are always a couple in the comic books as well, but they murdered her with a Damien Dark. Hashtag spoilers. First thing, these two are surrogate siblings, and no, I am not going to let that go. This is not Game of Thrones. Incest is not allowed in this universe. But seriously, why is Joe okay with this? He should be so weirded out. His kids are dating and sleeping together. Secondly, like Arrow, Flash introduced a better love interest for Barry in Season 2. Patty Spivot. Chantal Van Santen, who plays Patty, and Grant Gustin, who plays Barry, had immediate on-screen chemistry the first time they met, which is something that Candace Patton and Grant Gustin have never had. They have decent chemistry when they're doing sibling stuff, but definitely no romantic chemistry. That's not their fault. Sometimes actors just don't have that kind of chemistry. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But as a writer, you need to recognize the chemistry that your actors have, and you need to capitalize it and not put actors in situations together that don't have good chemistry. And let's jump into the fictional side of this for a minute. Hey, Barry, you're an idiot, buddy. This beautiful woman is clearly crushing on you hard and fangirling out about your forensic reports. Marry her now. People do not do that. By contrast, Iris's introduction was her complaining about how boring journalism was, which is what Barry recommended her to do because he thought it would fit for her. Also, idiot move number 2, right here.
I know you're the Flash, Barry.
Patty, come on.
Please don't make me feel any more stupid than I already do. Look, I'm a detective, and I should have known. I was so smitten with you.
Okay, look, what you're saying, it's insane.
Look, you don't have to lie to me anymore, okay? I understand. I understand why you didn't want to tell me. I understand why you've been distant. Look, I understand everything. But just tell me the truth now. Just be honest with me. Just admit to me you're the Flash, and I'll stay.
I can't do that. I'm not him.
It's too bad. It would have been nice to stay. Fight crime during the day and be with you at night. But I was wrong. Take care, Barry.
Good work, Barry.
Patty already knows you're the Flash, buddy, and she'll stay if you admit it. You didn't want to tell her because she'll put her in danger by knowing, but she knows. So, you know, this is such forced conflict, and very clearly just so Iris Barry storyline can proceed. It's so weak. Okay, so here are some of the reasons Patty Spivot is awesome and should have become a primary character of the show. 1, she's outrageously likable, and she also has levels of depth that are not readily apparent when she is first introduced. 2, she could have served multiple story purposes on the show. 1, she's a love interest for Barry, obviously. 2, she's a cop and Joe's partner. That allows her to play off of 2 primary characters very well and in very different ways. She's also smart in the forensic science, which means she could be useful on the Team Flash, on the police side, and in the forensic lab with Barry. Boom! And side note, Joe hasn't had a partner since Patty left. You're a terrible police captain, Sing. What the hell are you doing? And to compare, let's look at Iris. People used to complain about Iris because she had no real role on the show, right? She had no place on it. So the showrunners made the brilliant decision to make her team leader in the current season. What? Why'd you do that? Iris is by far the least qualified person to be in this position on the entire show. She understands absolutely none of the science and is clearly the least intelligent person in this room. She knows less about this shit than Joe does, and the show repeatedly makes the joke that Joe knows nothing. And then she has the gall to say this.
You are not the Flash, Barry. We are.
Just bring back Patty. She's a better character. Oh, wait, you can't, because Chantal Van Santen is the main actress on other shows. Well, shit. So what do I think they should do with Iris and Felicity? In my opinion, ultimately, they just gotta go. You need to kill them off or make them evil or something. Keep the actresses employed because they're doing good work with what they're supposed to do. Have them be alternate Earth versions of themselves, preferably ones that are evil. That would be really interesting for the main characters, Barry and Oliver, to have to face evil versions of their deceased love interests. I don't know. Just stop making them the love interests. They suck in those roles. Okay, I got myself really worked up there, so I need to go let my blood pressure calm down a bit before my heart pops open. I do still like both of these shows. I think they've fallen from their peaks, both in Season 2, actually. But they're still really solid overall, I think, and they have room for improvement in this specific area. But, yeah, that's going to be all for me. If you liked what you saw here, like, share, subscribe. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next Thursday. Have a good week.